Hi, everyone. Welcome to another miraculous moment. And I'm so excited. One of my really good friends, Laura Rubinstein, is here with us today. And she has some wonderful examples of miraculous moments that she's going to share with us. So let me just tell you a little bit about this wonderful human. Laura is an award-winning social media and marketing strategist. She's a certified hypnotherapist, master leadership coach, speaker, and best-selling author of the book, Social Media Myths Busted, the small business guide to online revenue. She fuels entrepreneurs' visions through profit-generating strategies, her influencer marketing platform, Social Buzz Club, and blog and boutique marketing agency at transformtoday.com. So, my dear, welcome to being willing to share with all these wonderful people some of your miraculous moments. So first of all, I always like to ask, what does a miracle or a miraculous moment even mean to you?
I think that if we really take a step back, we are miraculous. The fact that you were born, that I was born, there's a 2.7 trillion to 1 chance in that happening with all those little sperm and, the egg. And there's such a small chance of you being who you are today that when we really take a moment to say life as it is today is miraculous, you can see a whole host of miracles that open up.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. And it's really true. It's amazing how we got here, how it happened. We could just spend our whole time just talking about that alone. So I know that you're going to be sharing a few things that you have experienced that you would call miraculous moments. So what's the first one that you want to share?
Well, I think if we think about interesting synchronicities, a couple come to mind. One was I was just flipping through my digital photos of a trip last month, and I saw this one picture of, we were in Yosemite, which was beautiful, and it just took me right back. And I had this moment that transformed just from looking at a picture, because I was kind of in the grind of things, and something just drew my attention to the photo album on my desk, on my file folder. And I was there. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I feel so much more enlivened. I feel like I'm back hiking and in this beautiful scenery. So it was, and when it becomes a miracle is when you say it is, when you take the time to acknowledge, to soak it in, right? And to say, that was a great trip and I'm reliving it in this moment.
Absolutely. I love that you just said, and you own it, you recognize it, you claim it. Even if in my case, when a parking space opens, just the other day, it was pouring down rain and there was a parking space in front of the grocery store right in front. And it was like, oh, thank you, that's so miraculous. Or, I get through all the green lights. Oh, it's so miraculous. I love that.
Or the other day when we were meeting up and I was saying, I'm going to be late, because there's a couple more lights and there's a lot of traffic. And then boom, what happened? I was right behind you by the time we were pulling into the parking lot, right? It's that worked.
And neither one of us was really that late. It was maybe a minute.
Right.
It was hardly anything. But I remember I got your text and I started because I was at the same height. I didn't realize it at the time. And I can't remember now if I actually texted you or if I saw in my review mirror.
Yeah, and I started texting you and then your text came through. I was like, yep, she sees me. Yep, I see her. It was good.
Yes, that's pretty miraculous in my world. Okay, what else?
Well, there are memorable, miraculous moments that become miraculous after the fact. Let's put it that way. Sometimes the moments you think are the hardest you're going through, when you look back on them, actually are really gifts. And so, for example, a couple decades ago now, I was engaged, and my fiance came home and told me he loved me, but he was not in love with me, and we're not getting married. And we had to break up. And he really opened a door, though. It was a devastating day that opened the door to a miraculous, a life filled with miracles. Because until then, I was just kind of in a box trying to make a relationship work, figuring out if I didn't, even thinking to myself, I'm not going to be the one to break this up, because if I do, then I'm just going to get myself back into this position. I might as well try to figure out in this, whatever was going on in my head. And then, but what I really was saying and what I manifested as a miracle was, we're going to break up and he's going to do it. And that's what happened. And so there's this manifestation part that goes along with miracles. And from that point on, there were things that happened over and over, like I could point to. Like I remember sitting on an airplane and thinking, kind of like not attached, but the Olympics had just started in Utah, and I'm like, we're in California. I should be able to go to the Olympics. I wonder how I can do that. And I don't really want to bother with planning or paying exorbitant rates or whatever. And 2 days later, after I had that thought, somebody called me up and said, hey, Laura, you want to go to the Olympics? I can get tickets and I'll pay for your airfare. And I'm like, yes. And oh, I have a friend there. Maybe she can put us up. So we didn't have to worry about hotel. We had it was just like, boom, done.
No, and I think that's important, because what you did, I love it. You were up in an airplane. I've done that too. Maybe there's something at that altitude that makes it easier. But that you thought about what you really wanted. And you also said, and you really weren't attached to it. It was more, it sure would be nice.
Yeah.
And you just kind of let it do its thing. And
there's another example that I was in I don't know, kind of a mood. Sometimes we get in the mood. Like I was like, and I'm like, I need to change this. So I was going to an event, and I said to myself, okay, we're going to change this. I was kind of starting to, I said, what energy could I tap into? I said, okay, I am the space of magic happening. And I just kept looking for that, and little things happened. Like I bumped into somebody I hadn't seen in 15 years who I adored. And we had just a beautiful hug and a reunion for a couple of minutes at this event. I didn't know that person was going to be there. She didn't know I was going to be there either. And then I got an invitation to speak on stage. I wasn't planned, but there was like this opening, and I was invited to be featured on this thought leader stage to talk about LinkedIn and my jam, and so I was like, heck yeah, I'm taking this. And then I met some people, and I got on podcasts, and it was just like fun, miracle after miracle, just because I said those words, speaking of being intentional, letting it go. And I don't know what that means, being the space of magic happening, but I was like open to something really fun and unexpected happening.
well, I think, and a lot of times people use the word miracle and magic simultaneously. And in my world, you can call it whatever you want. And again, you set your intention that you were in this magical space. And for those of you that are listening right now, just imagine how that feels to be in, whether you want to call the magical space or the miraculous space. How does that feel in your heart? How does that feel in your body? I'm just at the thought of it, my whole body just kind of goes into this yummy mush.
Yes, yummy mush. I love that.
And it feels just so good. And you also mentioned too that it happened when you were just really busy and detail oriented and really going for it. And I think that's why it's so important to take time out and do just what you're saying, to just say, what if I could create a miraculous moment right now? Yeah. What if I could just experience what it feels like? Because when we are feeling it, that's the real motor. And when we can get into our heart, it also allows the mind to relax more. and not be so worried about what may or may not happen. So I love that too.
I love the idea of just
Here.
turning our brain into a vehicle for generating miracles by saying things like that. Like, I was having a bad day. I was, and I'm like, no, I'm not allowing myself to stay in this energy. So I'm going to say something else and I'm going to feel into that and then let it go. Right. Like, I'm not, like, okay, I'm the space of magic happening. I don't know what that means, but let me see if I can just feel into that a little bit more and see what happens and opens up and be open to it.
Yeah, and I want you to make sure to let people know about that other little miracle that eventually did happen. This wonderful man that you
Oh, yes.
for just
Yes.
a couple of
So
years.
that was the opening the door, because I remember saying to myself, okay, well, thank God he had the courage to break us up, because now what I really want is a juicy, soul connected, harmonious relationship with someone who I adore and adores me back. And then my brain went to work on that, and I sought out mentors, and I, had to do some inner work. But today I'm happily married and with an amazing man who we support each other, and it's every day is like a honeymoon. So I just am, giddy about all of that and all the work I did to make myself happy, but even before I attracted him was really important too. So there was many, many miracles out of that.
Yeah, and I said a couple of years, and that was a gross understatement because we know each other really well. You've actually been married to Kevin for how many years now?
16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's right. He's really an awesome person, and they're really sweet together.
Thanks.
You can tell there's
And you won't know that from any of my social media, because he's not a social person. So I honor that. So this is a little more exposure for him.
Oh, it's a new chapter for Kevin anyway.
Yes.
And so here you go.
There you go.
Laura, tell people if they want to learn more about your wonderful expertise in the social media and marketing area, how can they find out more about you?
Well, my blog is transformtoday.com. And that's a great place to start, because I got a contact form there. I got download freebies there. If you want to know more about the transformational work I did with feminine, I have femininepowercards.com, because that's a lot of the wisdom that we're talking about today is in these cards. So femininepowercards.com is a great place to go for more. How do we get into miraculous moments? Juicy tips.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And lastly, I also like to ask, so what would one more miracle or miraculous moment be that you would really love to experience?
Well, health has always been at the top of my list. So to have that enduring health is like something I want to always be able to see through the lens of miracles is a miracle too.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I love it. Well, I love you. I thank you for sharing with everyone your wonderful perceptions and wisdom. And I encourage anybody that feels a pull to reach out to Laura, please do. She's so good at what she does. And I'm grateful that I get to also call you my friend.
Me too.
So thanks so much for today. Thanks, everyone. And let's make sure that you create that miraculous environment and what that feels like, and draw those miracles to you. So until the next time, take care.